Alrighty, good old buddy Bad Back Brooks in, back with the Nemo, getting a little bit of practice with this tent. This is the Dragonfly bikepacking tent. I put this on here for now just to, I don't know, put something there. They didn't really give me much there. Other than that, they give you these nice line locks on some of them. But this is the one thing oh, that's a nice picture. I didn't practice yet. Figured out this gear tub. I kind of took me a few times to switch it around. Like, they give you a little thing here. I don't know, give you these little, I guess they just figure you reach up there because there's not one over there. I don't know. But other than that, yeah, you get your gear loft, this, you get a pocket here. I don't feel like it had any trouble so far with condensation, but it's winter kind of, so can't be a good judge of that. Beautiful. I've got the copper spur coming, so the difference will be on this. I just kind of had to figure the best way for this fly is to go around here, lift this up. Let me zoom in and stick that grommet through. So you're reaching under the tent, doing some stuff. The copper spur looks like it just buckles there. The copper spur, the rainfly comes all the way down. That could be a pro or a con. Mostly a pro to most people, I would think. But you can kind of get from inside a little vision. The tarp tent fly, you got to start here on this side. Well, you start here at the spreader pole, which is easy to put in. And then there. And then you finally tension it with the buckles here, so it doesn't tension on all. They give you that extra pull for the rainfly, for the vestibule, and I think this has a really nice vestibule. If you're like comparing them, I think it nudges the copper spur out a little heavier in weight, so it also has a real nice floor, really nice, well impregnated, waterproof floor. It comes way up. But what I was talking about is you can at least see that old Camaro way out there, get a little bit of a view out your tent, whereas I think the copper spur of the fly does go all the way down. I would only assume that wind would lift a tent easier if you're worried about it getting blown away or something. Although from all the ratings I've seen, people review this tent, it's a pretty strong design. We'll see the copper spur. What am I missing? You can see how it works. I kind of wish the door would open a little more, but I've seen on like the Hornets, the smaller ones, it opens less. So I'm getting used to it. You know, it is a one-person tent. I at first wished for more pockets. I guess the copper spur, we'll see if it has more pockets. But that said, I had no problem with just the one here in my phone. My phone even fits up here. And the gear loft, obviously, for whatever you have. It's got these daisy chains. Since it's the Bikepack version, you want to, I don't know what, I just shoved the door through here. But there you have it. The Nemo Dragonfly. I guess this year in 2023, the new models will have the Osmo Fly. That's the main difference. It's a different fabric. It's like more, it's not prone to wetting out as much or something. Okay, there it is. That they cut it short here instead of going all the way around, but I could see where that'd save weight and keep things taut. I'm sure they have their design reasoning. Go in here. Let me see if I can get lights. Lights, where are you? Lights. All right. Going on in here. I've got my little foam underneath it to keep it safe. I'll use I have a down REI Magma sleeping bag, 15 Fahrenheit. I can throw on this X-Ped mat. That's probably appropriate for lows around the mid 20 Fahrenheit, slightly below freezing type of thing. I'm not going to get in with my shoes yet. They give you a generous... Do we have one here? Oh wait, look at here. Check that out. I didn't even see it with the tags. It said there was a side pocket somewhere. So I guess that's good enough. They just have it a little higher up than normal. That's alright. I guess they figure you're coming into the tent and you just reach around and Whereas I'm used to that little pocket being here or here that you could just kind of drop your socks or your phone into. As long as I can make that easy reach from where I'm sleeping to, you know, because one thing, a big pro to some people might be that there is a lot of headroom in this tent. I am, I don't know, 5'11" on a good day. I've got a big torso, and this thing is a few inches over my head. So I would just say that if you are anywhere shorter than like 6'4", this is a good tent, because you can see there's a good amount of space at the end. And you know, it's not loaded with space, but you know, I'm just saying it's pretty for a one person. You get a good amount of height. It's pretty spacious here at the Nemo. And we'll just see. It's got a good amount of wind blocking. That said, though, the fly doesn't go all the way to the ground. They more figure they'll block the wind with the bathtub of the tent. I'm just going to have to think about this one. So many choices out there. The competitors, the big Agnes copper spur. It's got the door on this side, and it comes down all the way around, I think. And then there's a big Agnes that you can walk out the front. And then the Kelty makes a pretty nice short pull design. The Eureka Midori I looked at, short pulls. Big Agnes regular copper spurs, like a 17.5-inch pole design, not too bad. But for the $300 to $400 range, the Big Agnes or Nemo seems to be the competitors there. But again, they don't give you the little adjustable strap on this side, so I've been really trying to... Alright, action. Final look at the Big Agnes copper spur. In the light, I kind of had to modify some things to get them to work. They did give you these. Some of the guy lines I felt were kind of short, but all of these tents I'm finding you have to modify a little bit. Nice steep angle for the snow. Quick buckles, whether you like the buckles or not. This I couldn't get. Another thing, you know, like, how do you get... Give me some more cord there, right? You can go into the tent a couple different ways. I did like that. They kind of give you the choice. I'm looking at it more. I think you're supposed to maybe go in this way, and it lifts up as like a porch mode, but I've got it so you just unzip it and go in it this way. And this just as easily tucks back. I just, even though it has a little thingy, I just flipped it behind the tent, get in there, and then that way I can come in and just, you have to play around with it, but at least you get the choice of which side to come into. And of course your sleeping bag may have a zipper that opens one way or the other. So the Nemo tent, it just happened to be the door was that side and the head goes that end, so my, you can picture it, my sleeping bag open towards me, if that matters to you. Get the nice holders for the gear. Really nice piece back here that held my pants or whatever you had to hold. Very permeable, well, this fabric here, whereas this is the bathtub. I guess what I'm saying is on the Nemo, the bathtub was a lot higher, which made it a little warmer, but I get frost across the top. And here, compared to the Nemo, the fly goes to the ground. There were some things like this was harder to put on up here, the spreader pole on this Big Agnes. And the tent fly staked a little more stably on the Nemo. But the poles might have been slightly more durable on the Nemo. I don't know. Both pretty good tents, nice and mute. This had some highly reflective pieces, whereas the Nemo did not, if you're into that stealth mode. But just kind of a bunch of choices. This did pack into my backpacking, or my big backpacking bag, but it wouldn't fit in my small one. The Nemo tent is made with the short pole design. They do have this with the short poles, but it's like $200 more for this tent. All right, we got action, we got lights. We are inside the Big Agnes copper spur. A heavy hitter of basically like, I don't know, 2012 through 2023 here. I don't know if, I think this is the 2020 model. I love how you can just very easily stuff your trousers. There's no struggling to get it up in there. Tuck the door back. Kind of pick which side of the tent to enter, though they have it kind of designed so this makes them, I guess the way the zipper curves and everything, that makes the most sense. So you put your gear here, which, as I mentioned, depending, I've talked about this before, depending on what sleeping bag you have, maybe it's a real good one like this. Basically, you're getting into it like it's your bed, like the sleeping bag is thrown this way. So it's something to think about. With rectangle, they cut a little fabric out to save weight where your feet are. It's a little smaller. It's a directional tent, so it's bigger where your shoulders are and where you get in. This is ever so slightly smaller than maybe the Nemo Dragonfly one person. Like maybe, I didn't put a tape measure, a couple inches here, an inch or two there, but nothing to speak of. Yeah, the Big Agnes, not too bad. The Nemo did give you an extra anchor for the vestibule, which meant you could kind of pull it out a little more, but I don't know. It gave you a little gear tub, which is kind of neat. There's some things you could go on back and forth. Particularly this pole is harder to put in. If you're in a crimp hurrying, that sleeve can be, you get the one side in and it's kind of harder to stretch in on the Big Agnes. And there, get the hub poles. So I just noticed about all these poles being like a spider web hub together. When you're taking it down, it can kind of be a little, I don't know, if you're kind of like, I don't know what they call that, OCD or anything or what, when you get poles going every which way. I do like the simplicity of just the pole here and a pole there, like a rectangle, and that's it. Other than that, we had to heavily modify that end fly to get it to go, to keep that taut and get some air under or not under, depending on how you want to adjust it, and B, just even find somewhere to remotely get a stake. The ground was so hard, and I feel like that's a real application, and Nemo had those down a little bit with the quick line tensioners. That said, the Big Agnes, I believe, here came with a little more line. It has an extra vent here. I don't know. Apples, oranges. We'll leave people alone for tonight. I just pumping out this data. I don't have that much money, so I don't know what to make of it. If I'm gonna stick with one of these tents or I'm definitely stay in the hammock because I love them. I didn't really like crawling around the ground trying to push in these pegs, and it's cozy in here. I do like a cozy sleeping spot, so we'll see. Good old bad back Brooks and backpacker Brooks, bikepacker Brooks. I'm getting this Nemo back in, the initial impressions, just checking it out. It doesn't exactly slide in there easy. I kind of started on my knees with a bad back, just let's get it. It hasn't been wet, I kind of like enough room in the bag. If you have an extra ground sheet or maybe even a thin piece of insulation or anything, at least an extra footprint, the footprint to the tent, it'll all go in there. So, maybe these will expand a bit more. But definitely it's not like easy to get into the bag. Lights. This is about as bright as it gets. Looking at the good old buddy Brooks and looking at the Big Agnes copper spur. And I just struggled down here to get a stake in. I feel like this is a real environment, because a lot of times I end up like they call here the state park or whatever, and it's kind of a gravelly, hard surface to get a tent in. One of the reasons I'd kind of opt for a freestanding tent, but nonetheless, whatever you have to kind of get some stakes in. And I felt like compared with the Nemo Dragonfly, it gave me a nice little line tensioner and a bunch of lines, and I just came out here to stay in it after a night of some TV at Granny's, and the tent fly was flopping, and I just struggled. My back has been hurting. I tried to get that in different places, and I tied that orange piece of cord on there, and it still didn't work, and it's honestly still not working. I got so many. I guess my point is you need quite a bit of adjustability on the fly, and that was another thing the Nemo tent gave. It only gave that, but it gave two of these. You know, you could pull and anchor the fly. I guess since this is the head end, we'd be talking about the vestibule end here. You know, so you get that little bit of extra hold down in space. But you know, to tell you the truth, with that extra line on there, it really leaves a lot of adjustability on that fly. You can either anchor it straight to the ground, or you can kind of leave that bit of air gap underneath it and get all of it nice and taut. Yeah, there's the big Agnes, I guess. Take you for a spin. It definitely has a lot of very strong glowing highlights. It came with some cords that the Nemo didn't. However, I wasn't able to make use of them. The Nemo, again, had a nice loop and quick line tensioner, line lock, we sometimes call it, right on there. So I was able to quickly I don't know what that thing is. I'm sure people, I had to come up with my own back here, just like in the front. I just had this laying around. These are kind of cool. I got them off Amazon. I'd have to tell you the company, but I got a good amount of line on there, you know, enough you could literally like loop it around a rock. So you know, I feel like on all these you kind of got to modify them. Same problem here. I don't know what they expect you to do. I tried tying a loop. I guess you could barely stake that, but I don't know what you do with that really. Maybe it's specially supposed to hook into big Agnes stakes. You know, I'm trying to get all these out, combine these videos. I see people do it all the time, but just got only so much freaking memory on this phone. I fixed it so you can come into this side of the tent. I like to do the test where it's raining out, it's pouring, and this old man is snoring. Yeah, you can. How easy it is. I guess I'm getting at. I like to figure out how to get into the tent and see how my feet are all the way in the tent. In the case it was raining, I can do the kind of work it needs. I love on the big Agnes how you got that. I'll show you guys here. You just very quickly can shove the tent door through that little holder. And here we have a nice, very nice stash for the phone. Here as well, your socks. And this I really like. Leaves you enough room to just throw your pants in there, it looks like. Whereas the Nemo, it's a little tighter on that, and you can still buy a gear loft for like $14 on this one. This isn't the short pole design though. I liked how the Nemo Bikepack version, apples to apples, right? This is $300 tent, Nemo's about a $300 tent. This is just a little more. Nemo, you get the Bikepack thing. So I'm in here, and I do like turning at the angle here in this vestibule. The Nemo, you can't really configure the vestibule either way. It's either like this way or it's hard to explain. I'm here. Nemo has kind of like a tub. You don't have to put in the tub. It's just weird, like here, all I can explain is you can convert the vestibule so you can enter from either way. However, with the Nemo, it has an extra stake. You can stake it down a little better. All that matters a little to me. Here, the Fly goes all the way to the ground. They give you an extra vent up here. They give you this patch here. I don't know if they meant that for the other side. Except the Nemo has a bathtub floor that comes up here, and the Fly does not go down as far, like particularly at this end. And here it's more like okay, we're just going to waterproof this area. And some people love a Fly to the ground, some people like, okay, whatever. What would be the advantage? You could see out it a little bit, enough to see the legs of a Sasquatch or something walking around your tent, you know. I could see the little old Camaro my dad got up on some jack stands way up by the shed, you know.